Number of license plates we can bring. Bring it on. We will have so much speech on those license plates that's state sanctioned. We can think of a lot of different things. Obviously, there are a lot of things thought of here. My amendment does not cancel the Choose Life plate, even though I'm basically against it, but adds a friendly amendment to end rape culture. Every 98 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. Every 8 minutes, that victim is a child. Only 6 out of every 1,000 perpetrators will end up in prison. 1 out of every 6 American women have been the victim of an attempted or completed rape. What could be more important than having state-sanctioned speech that says, end rape culture? I don't understand how anybody can be against it. I guess I'll start asking people on my next time on the mic. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senators Pansing Brooks and Senator Watermeyer. Senator Christ, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess I fibbed. I said that was the last time I was going to talk on this issue, but I've gotten a couple of emails since I spoke on the mic, and one of them challenging me, which they have, the group of pro-life lobby has done in the past. How can I be pro-life and not support a license plate? Well, I can be against the death penalty and not support a anti-death penalty license plate. I could be against wearing short-sleeve sweatshirts in the chamber and not support a license plate that would dictate speech or thought. When I asked for, and did not seek, but when I asked the folks who give out the pro-life endorsement in 2008 why I was not on that list, it was very clear that I had not put forth a piece of legislation that I had done, sorry, that was in 2012, that I had done a piece, I introduced a piece of legislation early on that would have said that certain verbiage was supposed to be posted in any place, Planned Parenthood establishment or any place else. What I found out very quickly was that it was what I was asking for, although it would have suited my conviction or needs, it was unconstitutional. And when another senator brought that same piece of legislation again, I didn't vote it out of judiciary. And when another senator proposed it again, I did not vote it out of judiciary. So you see, it's not just about putting a label on your forehead and saying, this is the way I am. And it's not about seeking an endorsement or doing the things that an organization would want you to do. It's weighing, measuring, and finding out if what you're doing is correct constitutionally, or if it's supporting a cause without really supporting a cause. I'll leave you now with just my last word, I promise, on this issue. I am concerned that these license plates are so easy to make and that the intent of those license plates can be derived or twisted into funding all of those hot button issues that we all want to fund, that there will be no end to these personalized license plates. And reminding you again, as Senator Pansing Brooks has said, it only takes a number of signatures and someone can create this license plate without a piece of legislation. Now I yield the balance of my time to Senator Chambers.
Senator Chambers, you yielded 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Christ. Members of the legislature, although the subject that brought us to this discussion I think is unworthy, that is making the license plate billboards, the discussion I think is very wholesome, and it gives us an opportunity to focus on some of those basic and fundamental principles, ideas, and activities that a legislature ought to be concerned with. If we really got down into this, as will happen before the session is over, there's going to be acrimony, contentiousness, hurt feelings, anger. It's going to spill over onto
1
other
minute.
things, and it's all being orchestrated from outside this chamber. I've never seen Senator Wattermeyer as what I would call a rabid pro-lifer of the kind who would say, if you don't cross every T and dot every I the way I say, then you're drummed out of the pro-life movement. But there are people like that. Julie Schmidt-Albin was ecstatic when term limits put me out of the legislature. She said he's going to be hard to replace. Now, who is it they hate? Planned Parenthood is going to have to spend money to get several lobbyists to do what he did for free. It'll be like children in a candy store. That was the way my departure was discussed by these supposedly serious people who are concerned about doing something to restrict the number of abortions that occur. I've always said anybody has the right to say
Time,
abortion.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Christ and Senator Chambers. Senator Chambers, you are recognized, and this is your third time.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I assure everybody that I'm going to have plenty of additional time, so I will not offer a reconsideration on anybody's amendment. I made sure that I stacked up enough of my own so that if I have to do this alone, I will do it. And those of you who might have your integrity questioned, have your loyalty to whatever it is you're supposed to be loyal to questioned, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not interested in putting anybody on a spot when we deal with a matter such as this. Those points may come. This is not one of them. When it comes to women, I acknowledge that I am extremely protective, maybe more so than should be the case since women are seeking their emancipation. And I assure every female that mine is not that looking down my nose saying, I know better what's good for you than you know yourself. But I pointed out, I have a host, or maybe I should make that plural, hosts of nieces. I've lost 3 sisters. So naturally my mother and grandmother were women. I've been around women all my life. Then when I tried to lighten the mood a little bit, without being obscene, I say, I love women so much, I was born in bed with one. Now, what we're dealing with today could give us a chance to talk about those things that might cause young girls to wind up being pregnant. I don't think it's an overactive libido. I think it's a matter of a lot of them trying to find acceptance and a feeling that they are somebody, and nothing will get that done like being able to deal with an older man, and an older man sees these young girls as ripe plums ready to be plucked. So these young girls fall into these problems. The society has no interest, no concern about providing worthwhile activities, appropriate education, and then they isolate, they banish them. In churches, some are made to stand up in front and confess their sins because they were not smart enough or knowledgeable enough to know how to prevent a pregnancy, like some of those old female buzzards and vultures in the church looking down their nose at these young girls and wanting them up there, humiliating themselves, knowing what they themselves have done. Other people in the church will know what they have done. I saw the other day where the Pope, it said, is quietly reducing the sanctions against those who committed sexual misconduct. In other words, the priests are now going to get a pass, and our children are the victims. So I don't care about all this talk of fetuses, zygotes, and embryos when there's no concern for the children who are here now. I couldn't watch a child in the wintertime with inadequate clothing, shoes with holes in them,